Hi, this is Phil, and I'm here to tell you all about the Capes and Lunatics Patreon. Don't miss out on our comic book creator interviews, including our monthly Chichester chats with comic book legend D.G. Chichester, superhero movie brackets in our search for the worst comic book movie of all time, and many, many more specials, all completely uncensored. Access starts for $3 a month, full video when you pledge $5 a month. Check out the link in our show notes or go to patreon.com/CapesandLunatics. Hope to see you there.
This is Luca Perich, host of a Totally Turtle sports and gaming YouTube channel, and you're listening to the Capes and Lunatics Podcast Network.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Salty and Petty. That's right, I'm Petty, she's Salty, and...
No, you did it backwards.
So, I'm excited. No one's here. No one cares about us. We got a special guest this week.
That is true.
That's right. Remember, kids, we were going to talk all about 90s music. And, of course, we had to bring in a music expert, Mr. Jesse Jackson. Yes. Host of Set Lustig Bruce, among other podcasts. But, yes, Mr. Jesse Jackson. Hello, sir.
Hello there, everyone. It is so fun to get to visit. It's been too long since we've been able to hang, so exactly. I was really happy that the schedule worked out, and what a great topic to talk about, music.
So I did have one question to set us off, obviously. What decade do you think is better for music, the 80s or the 90s, and why?
So the 80s will always have a special place in my heart because that is one of the reasons Set Lustig Bruce started. We were doing 80s reboot Overdrive, right? Our former, I guess still our podcast brother, Dave, was doing that, and he wanted some time off, so he asked a couple of us to fill in. And one of the things we did is we talked about, our top 80s albums. And I realized that I could have picked nothing but Bruce Springsteen albums because he ends up putting out 4 in the 80s. So, I would usually give 80s a slight edge. Though, as I was reviewing some of the 90s music for tonight, I really have some of my favorite albums came out in the 90s. So it would be 80s slightly. How about you two?
Wait, second follow-up question. If it's not too personal, how old were you in 1999?
Oh, no, I don't know. It's easy to ask. So I was born in 59. So in 99, I would be what, 50? Yeah. So
no, 40.
Yeah, 40. Yeah, 40. So yeah. Now, one of the podcasts I love to listen to is Skip and Josh, and they did the top songs of the 2000s. And I realized I did not have one song that I knew from the 2000s.
I was going to say, because there's a poll about the best music, and it's like, clearly you can tell because, like, boomers and everybody's still alive, that, like, 70s and 80s music won the popularity vote, because you guys are still alive, but, like, and then, like, the 90s music came in, like, third, and then, like, obviously 2000s and past that is all garbage. No, I'm kidding. There's great music in every decade, but there's just less and less lately.
Well, Salty.
Exactly.
I do think, one of the things that you find is that teenage, early 20s, whether you go to college or not, but that time frame
that's where you define
is
yourself.
Where you kind of, it's similar to your first, like, to geek out a little bit, usually your favorite doctor from Doctor Who is the first one you watched on a consistent basis. And, so that becomes your doctor. So I think that same decade of when you're a teenager, when
Shout
you're thinking that rebellion, 8. Right?
You'll never be forgotten.
Yeah, you that your rebellion, you're finding your own, you're trying to control the radio in your parents' car to try to get to a different station than what they're listening to. So that'll always have a little place in your heart, right?
Exactly. Yeah. That's how I feel. Yeah, because I was a teenager in the 90s.
How old were you in 99? I was 13.
I was 21. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like I like listened to like all my like parent stuff from like the 70s and 80s. All my favorite artists, obviously, Michael Jackson, Prince, Madonna had big years in the 80s, but the 90s are literally their defining albums pretty much. Whether it's Diamond and Pearls, I think Thriller was like obviously a smash hit. I think that like Dangerous really like set them apart in the 90s and things like that. And Madonna obviously just with her sex book and pulp controversy and just that's the height of Madonna, you know.
But
So
you
I'm
really
a
think,
big pop music person, so.
but from the 80s, right? You've got Michael Jackson, you've got Prince, you've got Madonna, and you've got Bruce Springsteen. And, they dominated that, 84, 86, that,
Oh, Whitney
that
Houston
middle
too.
time.
Yep.
Yep, that's true. Yes. So, yeah, but we're going to talk 90s tonight.
Yeah. But
Which will be
I just
fun.
found it really funny. Like, well, all my favorite artists, like, they definitely, like, kind of, like, especially, like, solo and all that stuff, 80s, and then, like, boom, like, their number one massive hits are 90s. And early 90s, to be kind of specific, really. So, like, before,
Yeah.
like, I say, like, 94.
Mhm.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of those big names that lasted from the 80s into the 90s. All those, everyone you
Hell,
guys
from
just
the 70s,
named.
too, some of them, especially
Oh yeah,
when you get
some.
into rock music. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I mean, Rolling
Aerosmith.
Stones, bless their souls, still holding on. Kiss, still holding on for dear life. And we all have that one weird friend that loves Kiss.
So,
Doesn't matter how old you are, you have that one weird friend.
so I graduated high school in 1977, and so the Kiss, right? Kiss Rock and Roll Over, Kiss Alive, Kiss Destroyer. Those 8 tracks stayed in play. That's right, 8 tracks, people. And you and a couple of years ago, Kiss came to Fort Worth, and a bunch of my buddies and I went, and we it was the little 16-year-old Jesse was just squealing inside, and we had really bad seats. We were at the very top row. You could hear the sound was good. They were having a lot of fun, and there was a guy in front of me who never sat down. Like, I had to lean this way to watch him the whole show. And someone asked me, why you didn't ask him to sit down? And I went, no, man, this was his Bruce Springsteen, right? This guy knew every song, was just rocking it out. I was having a blast just watching how much fun he had.
Okay, I mean, we're all right. I don't want to take us too off track, but Jesse, okay. So did I see you're going to see Bruce like 4 times in the next few weeks?
Yes, thank you. I appreciate you knowing that. Bruce is touring as we're recording this. He opened the tour in Tampa last night, and did a 2-hour and about 41-minute set, 26 songs, I think. And the band did not sound like they had a lot of rust, from everyone I've heard. I wasn't there, but I have.
A lot, though, right?
No, this is the first time in 6 years. Bruce has not toured in 6 years. Now, he did Broadway, before the pandemic, and then he was one of the first people to come back after the pandemic to help open Broadway. But the E Street Band has not toured in 6 years. So I have tickets for February 10th, which is in Dallas. I have February 14th, which is in Houston. February 16th, which is in Austin, and then February 21st in Tulsa.
That's the best thing about Texas. It's big and wide and plenty of big cities.
Yeah, normally he doesn't play all 3 cities in Texas, but this year he is. So yes, bless my wife's heart. She knows it's been 6 years. She's like, go, have fun. So yeah, she's going to 3 of the shows with me. So that's going to be fun.
I guess she's not going to Tulsa. I don't blame her.
No. She is not going to Austin.
Oh.
In Dallas, which is my home city, it's my son's birthday. And Linda asked, well, what if he doesn't want to go to Bruce for his birthday? I'm like, then he can celebrate his birthday a different day.
He understands, I'm sure.
He's 33. right? It's he's an adult. So yes, we're going together as a family on Friday night. Then Valentine's Day is February 14th. She's coming with me to Houston to do that show. Austin, I'm doing by myself, and then Tulsa, we're going to all go together because we went this summer. There's a Woody Guthrie and a Bob Dylan museum right next to each other in Tulsa, and it's an amazing set of museums, regardless of how much you love music and what kind of genre of music. Both Woody Guthrie and Bob Dylan are so just influential. It's a really well done museum. So we didn't spend as much time in the Woody Guthrie as we wanted to, so we're going to do that again.
Very cool.
Yes, thank you though for asking.
no,
Always a chance, and yeah, so it will give me plenty of stuff to talk about on Set Listing Bruce.
As you aren't you approaching like your 1,000th episode?
I am. I will hit
Dang, Phil,
1,000.
we gotta catch up.
I will catch up. I will reach 1,000 probably sometime in March, 1st of April. So I'm I'm trying to get something special for the 1,000th episode. I would love for you guys to come on. Phil, you've been on the podcast, but you could join me and you could talk about how much you love your things. So I'd love to do that more. I've got some fun stuff planned, and we'll see what happens. Maybe Tom Hanks will call me up and go, "Hey, I'll talk about Bruce."
No, we need a Bruce interview.
Yes.
Oh, did you watch that Howard Stern interview with Bruce Springsteen?
I did. What did you guys think of it?
I listened to it on like the radio, and then like I watched part of it on HBO. I mean, I liked it. I mean, he does get in depth. Sometimes he does like those like 2-hour.
I know it's just something about listening to it on the radio versus what I prefer the radio than watching it.
Yeah, I ended up hearing it online first, and then when HBO showed it, we got to see it. I think Howard really got him to open up about some things. And I had this whole question, what did Howard do to piss off Patty? Right? Because, Bruce talked about she's Sicilian. She has a long history. And I guess Howard had made fun of her singing or something in the past. And so, but that was that. That was what that was about.
Yeah, I thought it was a great interview.
Kind of mellow for a Stern interview.
Well, he has kind of mellowed in his old age.
Old age, yeah, definitely. Yeah. I thought it was great. He's honed his skills. Actually, is what it is. He's not just a shock jockey.
Yeah. Oh no, I mean he hasn't been in the studio with a guest since COVID. Since 2020, and Bruce is like the first person he came in to be with.
Oh,
probably because they were filming the HBO special. But that's the first guest he's been in studio with in like almost 3 years.
Yeah.
Good work if you can get it. I'm just kidding.
I know, man. He works out of his basement. I know. Can you imagine? Yeah. All right. Sorry. So let's get to this 90s music. All right. I think we should let Jesse go first since he's our special guy.
Absolutely. Okay. I'm going to ask you what's your favorite genre from the 90s? And then you can take it and go wild from there.
So I have a couple of... there are, I have a couple of artists that I really, really love. Obviously, Bruce Springsteen. The other is a guy named John Hyatt. That's my new podcast. I'm doing Perfectly Good Podcast, which is we're going through every John Hyatt song in alphabetical order. And he actually...
don't give Phil any ideas.
And he put out actually 5 CDs, albums in the 90s. Hyatt did, and a couple of them are some of my favorites. And then Bruce did, he did not do a lot in the 90s. He fired the band in the late 80s. He moved to California. He put out Human Touch and Lucky Town on the same time in March of like 92. Toward the end of the 90s, put out Ghost of Tom Joad, which is an acoustic album. And then one of the best releases is his MTV Plugged special. This was when MTV was doing Unplugged, and Bruce said, "Well, if you want me to do this, I want to rock." And so he did one acoustic song, and then this band, not the E Street Band, the other band, worked through that. Brian Wilson, who's my other thing, did Imagination, but I started looking. I think I did a lot of country music in the 90s.
90s
Winona,
country, 90s country pop music, or just plain country. Right?
yeah, Allison Cross, Dixie Chicks, Lucinda Williams,
Like
Garth
good Reba
Brooks,
albums
Johnny
during
Cash.
90s.
Yeah, exactly. So I think if I had to pick, I spent a lot of time listening to country music in the 90s. So how about you guys?
I'll let Phil go because he hardly ever gets to talk.
Well, yeah. Well, again, I mean, I was a teenager. I liked the rock, the
Rebel.
grunge, the alternative. I mean, of course, like when I was on with Jesse, my all-time favorite band's the Foo Fighters. So, of course, I love Foo Fighters. So, of course, I have to connect that Nirvana, Pearl Jam, all that stuff. The Offspring. Green Day, Weezer. I mean, I could just name bands all day. Soundgarden, Rage Against the Machine. Yeah, if it was rock or something, yeah, in the 90s, yeah, I was probably a big fan of it. Lilith Hellfire.
No. What's some other favorite artists besides Foo Fighter? Come on.
I was just rattling off a bunch of them.
Yeah, you talked Nirvana.
Somebody that you have everybody's like album, like, you know what I mean? Those kind of like you weren't a stan. Like, did you go to concerts? Anybody's concerts or anything?
No, I really didn't do concerts in the 90s. 9 Inch Nails, Blink 182. It's interesting. There was like at least one band in the 90s, like they were very popular, and I just never got it. I don't know why. Red Hot Chili Peppers.
You're nodding at Chili Peppers?
Stab in the heart!
As I've gotten older, I'm like, okay, they're okay, but in the 90s, I don't know.
I'll give it to you. I did not get into them until Stadia Arcadia. I will give you that.
Yeah,
Californication got me, and then I went back and listened to everything, and I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, because as a teenager, I was like, I wanted nothing to do with it. But as I get older, I can appreciate it a little more now. So,
Anthony Kiedis is a special soul, but it does take time to appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you just Foo Fighters is your choice of that genre? Like if you nothing.
Yeah. I mean, that genre, that era. As you know,
just Foo Fighters just speaks to you.
Yes. I don't know if it was just right place, right time. Of course, again, I love the genre, but yeah. Again, I pretty much anything rock like that I would listen to in the 90s. So I was not picky in that perspective. I was thinking about this today. It's like, where I discovered a lot of artists sometimes. Like, remember, it was bigger in the 90s. I don't think they do it anymore, where they put out like sound. Well, that too, but again, remember what I said, Lilith. When you I have the last FYE in existence in my local mall. So, but no, what they did in the 90s, where I discovered a lot of people, was soundtracks to like movies.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because I would get a bunch of those because they don't do that anymore.
They were the original like now music, I think, soundtracks were in the 80s.
Pretty much, yeah.
You had such a varied collection. They don't really do that too often.
No, it's like instrumental a lot of the times now.
Look, I love a good score, but sometimes you want just a rocking, cohesive soundtrack. I totally get it. Batman, for instance, is '89 is an
all the
soundtrack.
Prince, yeah. Mm-hmm. The Crow had a good soundtrack, yeah.
The Bodyguard. Not gonna leave the Bodyguard out.
But that's the thing. Even like a bad movie can have like a decent soundtrack.
Dude, that's the worst. It's like, it's such a bad. It's like Twilight. Twilight has an amazing soundtrack and actually a really amazing score. Like, no joke. If you just buy like the score and stuff, listen to Alexander. I forget his last name, but like he's an amazing composer. Like, you wasted your talent on that. Hey man, everybody needs a paycheck.
Well, like I loved Phil Collins doing the music for Tarzan.
Yes.
That was really a lot of fun. And The Thing You Do came out in the 90s, which was a great soundtrack, from doing it. So that I agree. In fact, Alison Krauss, I found her because on Notting Hill there was a song called "When You Say Nothing at All," and I love that, and I ended up finding her version, which led me to finding her albums and listening to that. So, absolutely. And hey, Nightmare Before Christmas came out in the '90s, which is uh, a, a classic. And
Thanksgiving
another
movie.
Yes, another Christmas. Brave Combo is a band from Dallas. They are actually Denton, Texas, which is just north of Dallas, and they do rock and roll polka. They've been nominated for Grammys. They've actually won a Grammy, and they put out "It's Christmas Man" in '92, and that is a Christmas CD that stays in the rotation starting with after Thanksgiving till Christmas Day at our house. That is, how there are some songs that you keep playing, but that is a CD along with the Charlie Brown, soundtrack for the special. We keep that Brave Combos, It's Christmas Man on the rotation.
Jesse, how do you feel about that Mariah Carey Christmas song that will never die?
Yeah, it's there and it's fun. Um I always get,
Inescapable.
yes, I get asked a lot, um and my favorite Christmas song, to take us off track for a little bit, is Charles Brown, "Please Come Home for Christmas." Um, Back when I was a teenager, KLOU, the AM station there in Lake Charles, Louisiana, would play Charles Brown, "Please Come Home for Christmas" the Friday after Thanksgiving. And that told you it was Christmas. And so when I hear, and the Eagles have done a version, and Aaron Neville has done a version, but to me, that Charles Brown, ding, 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 bells will be ringing. Just it is Christmas to me.
Oh
Does
yeah.
Bruce have a Christmas album?
No, and he talked about that on the Tonight Show. He says that he says what happens is you get in the mood around Christmas time. Oh, we should do a Christmas album, but then it's too late. It's the wrong time. It's the holidays, and then when you should be doing it, it's July, and you don't feel like recording a Christmas album. So he says, maybe one day, but right now, so no, he's there. He's done enough Christmas songs that you can bootleg to do an album, but no, he's never done a full Christmas album.
Well, that's what I was gonna say when when we were talking about Christmas. I thought you were gonna say some of your favorite songs. Didn't he do like the Christmas episode of Saturday Night Live like a few years ago? Like he
He
was the
did.
musical guest. I thought that was gonna be like your favorite Christmas songs or something.
It was great. And you know what's amazing about that is Paul frickin' McCartney
Yes.
shows up at the end. I mean, they had done a song and they come back and they're doing Santa Claus is Coming to Town. He convinces Tina Fey and who was the other host? Yeah, they had two of the hosts. He made them come out on stage, and there's Paul McCartney just on stage singing. Like, he doesn't get introduced, anything. It's just, I guess he happened to be there and like, come on, Sir Paul, let's just have a Beatle sing with us.
But yeah, I mean, just Christmas music or any kind of music. I mean, they always talk about how it takes you. You remember the first time you heard it. It can take you back to times and places.
Well, that's what we were talking about. That those songs you heard as a teenager, like, I don't think "Play That Funky Music, White Boy" is a great song, but when I hear Wild Cherry doing "Play That Music, White Boy," I go back to I'm 16. I'm in the high school cafeteria or gym, and they're playing that at a high school dance. Electric Light Orchestra, KC and the Sunshine Bands. I mean, I a lot of people make fun of the Eagles. Hotel California came out when I was a senior, and we were blown freaking away. I remember my science teacher said that because he was a huge Eagles fan, and he was talking about "New Kid in Town" was the single, and he says it's the worst song on the album. and it was a big hit. So, right, you
Oh yeah, yeah. I
when
remember.
you're a
Yeah.
teenager, that's what speaks to you, and that goes through, and what's hard sometimes is to give that up to try to find new music because you're comfortable with where you're at.
Oh yeah. I remember. I hear a song from my teenage years. I'm back in my car with the giant case of CDs. Got the portable CD player hooked up with the cassette adapter. All right.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
Lilith,
Lilith, you
your
haven't
favorite.
talked about yours.
I am lucky. I'm a literal 90s kid. You know, I was, like I said, I was 13 in 1999. 1999 was one of the hugest years for pop music. I love boy bands. I love New Kids on the Block, but Backstreet Boys is my number one boy band. They literally still tour. I'm so lucky I chose right and didn't end up an NSYNC girly. They're crying, throwing up, sliding down walls.
Sorry,
you know,
dear.
because they'll never get back together. You know, because Justin's just so successful. But my boys, they've broken up, and Kevin has left, and he's come back, and they're the big happy family now again, and they're still touring, and they did a tour with freaking New Kids on the Block and freaking New Edition. Like, that was a great tour. So like, I love
you go?
Christina Aguilera. Oh yeah, Christina Aguilera, Britney Spears, Mandy Moore, even though she's technically a 2000s girly. That was just a really great time to be a kid for just pop music. I listened to a lot of R&B too. Whitney Houston's my number one favorite. I love Shania Twain. She had a big decade in the 90s. Sorry, she didn't really,
She
Canadian,
did.
so
She
got my heart.
exploded. Yeah, she exploded. Was just huge, and then just kind of moved on. But yeah, there was no one, her and
We
Garth
had
Brooks were
Jewel.
just ruling
Oh,
everything. Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay. Nobody don't laugh. Remember Chris Gaines? I actually love that album. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what anybody says. I love that album.
Well, I don't know if he just recently did a documentary, and they
did
talked
he?
about that. Yeah, there's a documentary about him.
He was really going through something, man. I would assume.
The plan was there was actually going to be a film where he played the character Chris Gaines, and it was going to be, so that's why the album was there, because it was going to be a drama with him being that band member. And so this was all supposed to be part of that. The reason you released the album is so that people would know the songs, and then you would go to the movie. And then when the movie didn't happen, it just kind of fell through. But he was very funny about it. And so if you are at all a Garth fan,
definitely
it's
find
great.
that. And yeah, I actually love his regular stuff too.
Sure.
So, but yeah, no, I loved Hootie and the Blowfish, and even when Darius went solo, I love his solo stuff as well. Yeah, just everything was just good. Like you could listen to like any genre, and everybody had like really good music. Like whether you listen to Soundgarden, and then I attribute that to like MTV actually still playing, videos,
Right.
and really exposing everybody to a little bit of everything,
Yeah, there was so much catchy pop with that Hootie and the Blowfish. It just, you can just right now think about that, isn't Bobby so cool? I just want to be with you. And
Let Her Cry. Yeah,
he had such a great voice. And
if you have never heard his country album, it is so good. Like, it is so good.
Yes,
it was just a wrong place, wrong time for him, unfortunately. Like, at this point now, I wonder why he didn't just try to come back out and do country where it's a little more accessible for him and not so much pushback and stuff. Thank you, Cowboy Troy, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. No, but he's gone, and and he is, I think, done a fairly
he still writes for other people and stuff, and
second
I think
act. Yeah.
I think that's like the one thing about country that is like really cool is that you don't get like people don't expect you to write your own music, whereas like with like say rap or rock or things like that, they kind of expect you to, and if you don't, they kind of look down on you. But like for country, you just kind of know. It's like, he doesn't have a brother, he's not divorced.
Well, one of my favorite podcasts is the Cocaine and Rhinestone podcast, which Tyler May and Cohen Cole is the host, and he's David Allan Cole's son. And he is doing a history of country music, and it's incredibly well researched. And his second season was all about George Jones and Tammy Wynette. And he talked about that. Um, then, and as you're talking about country music, you you aren't singer songwriters as much as you are a stylist, and that you would have they would be people writing really good songs, and then the producer would take it, find the song that matches the artist, produce it, and come up with these great songs. Versus in the rock and pop, it almost is felt like, well, you know, aren't you, you're not, if you're not writing it yourself, you're not genuine, you're not real.
Yeah, because it's
And
about authenticity for sure with rock and
yeah,
roll.
versus just, well, hey, just because it's a good song doesn't mean whether I wrote it or not, because I'm making it my own by interpreting. Johnny Cash did the American recordings in the 90s. He had left kind of his way, and Rick Rubin came to him and said, I think you need to get back to basics, and gave him a, kind of at the end of his life, a resurgent where Johnny Cash became cool again. Not that he ever wasn't cool, but this whole generation found him in the 90s. And I can remember, speaking of your boy, um, Justin, right, saying, no, I shouldn't win Video of the Award. This should have gone for Hurt, that he was so
Yes,
supportive of it.
absolutely.
Yeah. Hmm.
And it was like the 90s, the last decade where like the music industry really thrived because
We didn't have YouTube. Like literally, YouTube killed the video star. Because
Yeah.
it's on demand. You're at, music is in your own
Yeah.
destiny now.
and it wasn't so hard. It wasn't so easy to pirate music at that point. And even if you buy your music the right way these days, it's like you don't have to buy a whole album. You can buy a song.
No, what really changed the music industry is iTunes 99-cent singles, not having to buy the whole album.
Yeah, exactly.
I wholeheartedly believe that as well as
Because it's
YouTube.
like that killed album sales, and MTV doesn't play music videos anymore.
Unless it's 3 a.m. in the morning, and then now.
Oh,
it's
do
house
they
music.
still
Not
even
that I
have
have a
do they
problem with
play?
that. They play like that house techno music.
Well, and part of it, now I'm going to sound like a grumpy old man, and this is the beauty of it, but it's also the issue of when both of you were teenagers, and this is each different decades, right?
Mhm.
The 70s, the 80s, the 90s, but the radio played a wide range of music.
Yeah.
Now then, if you have Sirius XM and I want to hear Bruce Springsteen 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, there is E Street Radio. If I want to hear, Pearl Jam, there is a 24-hour Pearl Jam channel.
Or they have decades channels like
Yeah, like
70s
if
channel,
I
80s
wanted to,
channel,
I
No,
want to
90s
do
like
channel.
I'm
70s.
so upset though. Like I remember it was like when your parents were like listening to the oldies, and now they don't say oldies, they say the 80s, 90s, 2000s, the 10s, and now music. I'm like, I know what that means. I know what that means. You're not slick. I know
Yeah.
it's the oldies. Just call it the oldies. I will gracefully age, and I would love to be a grumpy old person. Say back in my day. See,
Well, that's the other problem too. I mean, I think the regular radio industry is
who
not
even
what it
listens to
was
the radio
either.
in their car?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Honestly?
Well,
You
again,
plug in your Spotify or your
Yeah.
Apple Music.
or you're serious because regular radio, you're going to listen to what 15, 20 minutes of commercials.
Right.
Yeah.
And the other thing, right, is I don't have to go to Amazon and order a CD to be delivered. I don't have to go to a music store anymore, where the guy behind the counter would go, "Hey, you should try this." And you
Yeah.
go, "Okay, it's $10. I'll get this CD. I'll get this cassette. I'll get this album. I'll try it. It's worth it." Now then you can just go to Spotify and you hear
And
anything
they give
you
you
want.
the lyrics too, so you don't
Yeah.
have to keep repeating it to figure out what they're saying.
And there is a beauty to that if I tell you, guys, you should check out this, new band, you can go to, as you said, YouTube or Spotify, and for free, you can listen to that music. And even if you love it, now I've had a couple of musicians on Set Lusting Bruce that said it does help them. Like if you listen to stuff on Spotify, it does help them. Maybe not
It's like
financially,
0.2% of a penny, but
but
it
it
adds
does.
up.
It adds up, and they do, and it is just it is a weird business now that how do you have that, um, the song of the summer? We all remember,
Gotta get
right?
it popular on TikTok.
Yeah, I guess so. That's it. That's totally it now.
Oh yeah, like yeah, I remember a song in the summer. Like you would go, anywhere you go that summer, you'd hear these songs. Remember, was it 1995? Batman Forever, Seal, Kiss from a Rose, and you couldn't go anywhere in public without hearing that song.
The grocery store, the library, everywhere.
Yeah, it was totally part of the. It was just part of the atmosphere, and it is, it's a different world now, and there is a lot to be good with it, but there is sometimes it's a little frustrating. I absolutely agree. Yeah.
It's so weird because like it has evolved that way with the downloading and everything. But then what about like these people who are getting back into vinyl?
Like it's weird when you see Walmart selling vinyl. Like shout out to Walmart for selling vinyl, but like it's weird. It's like I just want a dedicated music store,
Yeah, and it used to be cool you would go in there and you go to the B section, and like in 1977, I discovered the Beach Boys. I had never heard of them. I bought the 8-track Endless Summer and fell in love with their music. So I would go to every time I went to the mall or a standalone music store, you'd go to the B section and you'd go to Beach Boys, and like, oh, I don't have this one. And then, buy it. You going for that, looked for that. Now then you just go, oh, here, let me go
Google
either.
It.
Yeah, let me Google it. It's on either Amazon or another retailer, and like, oh yeah, I can get it. Or in this case, Spotify. A lot of times you just listen to it in Spotify. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I remember. Yeah, that's with me in the '90s. Me and my friends would drive to the mall and be like, "Oh, hey, what CD are you looking for?" It's like, "Oh yeah, I never think." I forgot about that.
It's something about like actually like listening to a CD, like picking it out and putting it into your player and driving in the car and just driving until the whole album's over. Like I don't think kids do that anymore. They just pass the aux, as the kids say, and everybody's just playing their own random little like snippets of songs. But like it's just something about like really letting the album sink in.
Or even just looking at the pack, whether it's vinyl or a cassette or a CD.
I miss liner notes so much.
Yeah. And it is, sometimes we forget that often artists are trying to tell a story with an album.
Yes.
And so if you don't, if you listen it from beginning to end and experience it, as you talked about, we do that one song, we pick 1-2 songs out of it, and it is not the same. It is sometimes, and I'm just as bad. I'll pull in a CD and I will, I'll play this one, skip, this one, skip, this one. But, every once in a while, it's nice just to put it on, and especially in a long car drive, and just listen to that whole album.
Just press play theory. There's very few albums just in the entirety of music where it's like you can just push play and not hit skip. And when you find that for yourself, it's just.
What are some of yours?
Soothing.
What are some of yours that you just push play?
Any of the Backstreet Boys, I'm gonna be honest. Any Whitney Houston. Now that I'm older, any Celine Dion. Absolutely, she's so soothing. I really love Anya. You remember Sail Away.
Yeah.
I like music like that too now that I'm older. Used to be like the white noise, but now it's super relaxing. Michael Jackson, Dangerous.
I mean,
that's a perfect album in my personal opinion. And Diamonds and Pearls is also by Prince is also a perfect album.
Okay.
But no, I hear what you're saying, because does that come with age? Because again, it's like as a teenager, I just wanted, stuff that rocks, louder the better. And it's like now half the time I'm just like, yeah, let me put on something that's really gonna like.
Bro, don't
tell
really
anybody.
Mellow. This is just between us guys. I now listen to Michael Bublé.
There is no judgment. There is no. I
I
don't.
just I like it.
I don't believe in guilty pleasures. I just believe in
Believe in
pleasures and
pleasure,
in music.
exactly.
Right? Exactly. Yeah, that's nice. It does do that, and then it is. Um, and we all have. I had a friend talk about that. That he has multiple playlists. That he said, I don't have a favorite artist, but I have a. This is my road trip playlist. This is my. I want to. I'm reading books playlist. This is my I want to go to sleep playlist. This is my I'm angry and I need to get frustrated working out playlist. And I thought that was awesome.
And that is the beauty, you know. I remember burning, you know, tapes off the radio and burning CDs from LimeWire. I was a child. Don't yell at
No,
me.
no, we did.
Napster, all that stuff, and so like I'm a firm believer in like you know, physical media. Like you should have your CDs and your albums. And I inherited my mom's really huge albums, so she was a really big music lover, but it was weird music like Kenny G.
Yeah.
But I still have it. I still have a huge record collection. I don't care what you say.
Well, there was not, there was a lot of things that, you know, when my mom just recently had a stroke and she's in a nursing home right now. But before she had gotten sick, there was discussion about, you know, after she passed, who gets what. And the only thing that she said, well, you know, Jesse Wayne gets my albums because I'm Jesse Wayne in Louisiana. It's one word, Jesse Wayne. And yes, so I have a lot of her albums, a lot of you know, Fats Domino old albums, and Bobby Darin, and Ray Charles, and all this different music. It's great. But you talked about physical things. You know, I'm doing a Babylon 5 rewatch on one of my podcasts, and it just left HBO Max. So luckily, I had all the seasons on DVD, and I said, you know, there is something good about a physical. I tend to, when Bruce puts out a new album, I buy it on iTunes, so I get the free, you know, the pre-released, but I order it a physical disc as well because I want that physical, you know, unit.
Again, yeah, I mean that's what we've been talking about lately. It's like, yeah, physical media is like back in again because again, any
Well, they can
streaming.
take. Oh, it just happened to me. I was watching. So I'd watched Kaleidoscope on Netflix. You know, it's a show you can watch in any order. And I said, what's another show that I can literally watch in any order? Go to Paramount Plus, find the show called Interrogation. I'm literally 2 episodes away from the end. I didn't want to stay up that night to finish it. I said it'll be there in the morning. It literally wasn't. What the hell, Paramount Plus? No warning, no, like, you know, usually like Netflix, Nation, this is the last day to watch. Not a warning, not a nothing. Just gone the next morning. So now I'm looking for the DVDs.
Yes. Oh, that's awesome.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, sometimes you know, there could be a bad day where the internet's down or something. You just want to watch something or listen to something, and I still have a bunch of CDs over here.
Yeah, we do too. And one of the when I bought my car back in 2011, I'm still and this is one of the reasons I don't want to trade it in, is it had a hard drive built in. So when you put in a CD, it immediately burned it to a hard drive. So I have like 250 CDs in my car. And so that at any point you can go pull it up on your hard drive and play. And I'm like, man, if I trade this car in, I'm gonna have to pull all these CDs out again and do though when I saw Apple Play, that was pretty cool. That was nice that you could, you know, do that from
Yeah.
Spotify or everything. Yeah.
I thought
Absolutely.
I thought you were going to say something about a CD. I'm like, they still put CD players in cars.
Yeah. Well, when my mom bought a new car about 2 years ago, she was pissed they did not have a CD player. And
Oh,
we were trying to explain to her, yeah, Mom, sorry, that's what they do now. So we ended up having to get her some kind of streaming service that she could do for her phone so she could hear her music.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I know. My wife got a new car like almost a year and a half ago. It's like the CD player's in there, but it's like in the center console. Like you have to open up the center console and like put it in there.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
That's wild.
kind of hide it.
That's good.
For those kids who don't know what that is.
Yes. Mhm. Did
Yes. My
so
godchildren make fun of me. They're like, "You had an MP3 player? What is that?
well,
On your
you
phone
talk
now.
about
What are you doing?"
right. Remember, with Napster and Livewire and all that, I was I had to find an MP3 player. There were certain MP3 players that manufacturers had an agreement that gave you unlimited downloads, right? It was free to download, so that way you could sample all these different songs. So that was amazing to me back then. Now, of course, you can do that on Spotify all the time, but at the time it felt like, oh, this is amazing. I could just grab these songs and do and try without having to pay $1 or $1.25 for each one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I don't think I was paying attention because all of a sudden it just seemed like MP3 players popped up on my radar. I was like, wait, what's this? And then it's like you had to look because some only had like certain amounts of storage and stuff, and I'm just like, ugh.
And that's the um that's the reason why, right? Like with your phone, you want to like, okay, do I have enough storage for all the podcast and the music and all this stuff? So yeah, absolutely.
Gotta get that 99-cent iCloud.
Yep, there you go. I do I do every month. It gets charged and I get uploaded to it. Absolutely.
Well, well, that's the problem with like in some of one of these big names, Jesse. Because how many albums does Bruce have now?
So he's probably studio albums in his 20s, and then when you talk about live releases and other things, so it's a lot. Yeah. hmm Yeah, his latest one is a soul cover. I don't know if you have you heard any of this, Lilith? No.
No.
So it's called Only the Strong, and it is here. I'm going to pull it up. Um, it is he decided that he wanted um, to do an album of soul covers, and so he did it. And there's got Soul Days, Don't Play That Song, What Becomes of the Brokenhearted, I Wish It Would Rain, Turn Back the Hands of Time, Do I Love You? Indeed I Do, When She Was My Girl, Night Shift.
Oh
Um,
wow.
yeah, and so he does a really good version. And at Tampa last night, he did two songs. He did Night Shift and I I'll have to look to see which one, but he did one other song with the band doing the soul. So yeah, I'd be curious for you to hear it and let me know what you think of Bruce singing all these soul songs.
I think he has a great, really strong, versatile voice. So it doesn't. He seems to like every now and then he gets a itch and he wants to like do something a little different.
Yes, that's exactly
Like
right.
every single decade, like I know some Bruce songs and I'm like, oh wow, this is different from the last time thing he put out, but it's still good.
Yeah, he
a lot of craftsmanship and heart he puts into his songs.
He had done an album earlier where he'd done a lot of Pete Seeger songs, and so they called the Seeger sessions. But this one he just wanted to do, and so it's a covers album, and I you should check it out. I think you'll like it. It is he sounds good on it. He's having a lot of fun.
I'll put it on the list for sure. I have a
There you
running
go.
list of things people recommend.
Good, very nice, cool.
I'm always trying to play like 90s songs or even like older stuff for my son who's almost 10. Okay, Jesse, what Bruce album can I play for my son? Like, okay, this is Bruce Springsteen. To introduce someone to Bruce Springsteen, what album would you recommend?
So probably you, Darkness on the Edge of Town would be too serious for him. Born to Run has some good songs on it. He would probably like a lot of the fast songs on The River.
Yeah.
The River has, Sherry Darling, Out in the Streets, some funds like that. So, yeah, I think I would go. I think I would do the fast songs on The River.
Okay.
Um, he might like Wrecking Ball. Wrecking Ball was an album he put out that has a little bit of an Irish tint in it.
Hmm.
That has some pretty interesting songs on there. So yeah, I'll think on that and work on it. I'll let you know.
Okay.
Okay.
Has Danielle
Yeah.
made him listen to NSYNC yet?
Oh, he's heard Justin Timberlake songs because
No.
you.
I didn't say Justin Timberlake.
I think he's heard.
Listen. We all know he's the superstar, but JC Chasez can't read NSYNC. Okay.
You know I'm
Gotta
married.
listen to NSYNC.
You know I'm married to Justin Timberlake's #1 fan, so you know he's heard some NSYNC. Okay.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, that's great.
Just trap him in the car. We're going on a long ride, son.
What does he like to listen to?
Like he'll listen to a bunch of the current stuff, like like he's of course like every kid these days, he's big on YouTube. So if he finds something on YouTube, like again playlists, he has like a shower playlist. He goes in and take a shower, you'll hear him. Lilith, you come up, you'll hear him. You'll hear the music blaring from the bathroom. He's in there singing. But yeah, I mean he likes a lot of current stuff. But again, I like to try to introduce him like not 80s and 90s music, and he likes a lot of that. And like I said, when they're not listening to the new stuff, Daniel has them listening to Justin Timberlake or NSYNC or.
Mm-hmm.
It's all right. I'm gonna sneak my Backstreet Boy CD. Don't you worry.
And does he like the Foo Fighters?
Yeah. I remember playing for me. Yeah, he said I think I don't know if he's just telling me this, but that's some of his favorite. I don't know if rock's
He's
like
yeah, Dad, can I have a 20?
rock's not his favorite genre, but he said in that genre that's like his favorite. That's probably like his favorite stuff. Probably because I played it for him over and over. But yeah,
it's like
That's
you were
cool.
listening to this in the womb, kid.
That's nice. That's very nice. Yeah. One of the things that Chris loved is, I was talking about Brave Combo, the rock and roll polka band, and we would go see them a lot when he was young, because there were a couple of the places they would play would have setups, so you could bring children, and you just brought your own bottle, and then you'd buy the setups there. So if you wanted alcohol, you could do it. And it's a lot of fun dance music, a lot of upbeat, not just polkas, but a lot of kind of upbeat music. And Chris would, used to joke like, Dad, it's always a good time to polka. And I'm like, yes, it is. Yes, it is, son.
I mean, I don't care. We've had a good time tonight, but I mean, have we? I think anything else 90s we should discuss?
Who do you think? What artist had the best decade for the 90s? Like successful or just like really coming into their own into like the mainstream popularity that wasn't already established that actually stayed.
So not like a Michael Jackson who was already big in the 80s and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean,
I can't think of any non-established that wasn't like that Disney Kid factory of like Christina, Justin.
Oh yeah. We never even.
I can't think of anybody because they are technically established. If you have a Disney connection, you're established.
Yeah, we never even talked Britney Spears or Christina Aguilera. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I did. Like I said, those are my girlies, for sure.
So I think it's got to be, because I just did a quick Google search, top rock bands of the 90s. So Pearl Jam is still very, very active. Your Foo Fighters, you're certainly hung in there. So I'm trying to think of solo artists.
Exactly. It's so hard
to
think of a solo artist.
He's always been part of a group, but it's like maybe it's just because it's my boy. But Dave Grohl, I mean, he was the drummer in Nirvana, and then he was the lead of Foo Fighters. So I mean, was he was in 2 giant bands in the 90s. I mean, he's up there.
Yeah, I think so. That's got to be. Yeah.
I mean, there was people still like, again, they were big in the '80s, Metallica, Guns N' Roses.
Yeah, Mariah
I just
Carey.
can't think of like the defense. Well, she came out in the '80s technically. Although, like
Yeah,
I said,
yeah.
her best album is from the '90s. Honey,
Yeah.
late '90s, like '97 or '98, I think. So
Yeah. That's it. Or yeah, that's a great question. I don't have a good answer.
I can't think of a single person, honestly, that wasn't pre-established. And I found that kind of weird when I started thinking about that. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Jesse said, a lot of these bands are still around from the '90s, but it's just you don't hear them on the radio as much. Or, I mean, they again, touring is like more essential now than ever because like the album
Well,
sales
that's where
aren't
they
there.
make all their money.
Yeah,
if
now.
you do love an artist, if you stream their music, please buy their merch because that's the only way they're seeing money.
Yeah, it
At
really.
this point,
Yeah,
buy their
tickets or
merch.
merch.
from
Yeah,
the
It makes a
official
difference.
store
Yes.
or
Yeah.
at the tour when they're on tour at the place.
Yeah. Absolutely. I agree. Yeah.
because I remember hearing that debate the one day. It's like, well, how do you know who's a big artist now? Because it's like it's not record so the
Anybody that
record
can
sales
sell
aren't
out a
there.
stadium. Honestly,
Yeah.
that's the goal. So you got your Beyonces and your pretty much all the rock bands can still do it for the most part. Just because they haven't toured as
Yeah.
much, I think is the big thing. So like they just kind of make sure they let you know, hey, save up your money. Oh, thank God! Oh, shout out to Joe Biden for fixing Ticketmaster. Hopefully, 'cause that was out of control. Ticketmaster was really getting out of control there.
It is, and there was a lot of controversy with the Bruce tickets, and I just kept saying the only way everyone's going to be happy is everyone gets to go to the shows they want to go to in the section they want to sit in, and paying the money they want to pay.
Good luck.
Because there are tickets available on most shows, but they may be behind the stage. Now, Bruce doesn't have a backdrop, and so I have had a ticket in behind the stage before, and it's actually a pretty good view because you get to see what the band is seeing, and the band members tend to play to the back sometimes too. Um, but I want the pit, or I want I want that experience, and that's what everyone wants, and that's why they go for multiple $1,000s.
I mean, I've been to concerts, but my favorite thing are more like music festivals. Like when I was growing up, it was all about Warped Tour.
Yeah.
I never got to go to Lilith, unfortunately. I hope they revive that soon.
Yeah.
So like Warped Tour was my thing. So like you got your Limp Bizkits, you got your Exhibits, your Snoop Dogg's, your Eminems. Those were like some of the best times. I prefer like a music festival to a concert. Like I've been in the front row of a concert. It's actually not that fun. I love to be in the nosebleeds, honestly, when it comes to a concert. As long as it's not like a stadium. If it's like a nice like arena or smaller,
Right.
love to be in the nosebleeds. It's just something about the vibes of the nosebleed versus like the elitist in the front seat. it's just something about it.
Yeah, I am. I like having a seat, even though I just because I get tired. I'm old, and so I like to have a seat during some of the quiet songs. But there's plenty of people that to stay in the pit, you got to get there 3 or 4 hours early, and then the show's 3 hours. By the end of that, your feet are hurting. Your feet are hurting a lot.
So you're going to see Bruce at like 4 different times coming up here.
Yes.
Is the set list going to be the same, or does he change it up each time?
So historically, he changes the set list a lot, but early in a tour, while they're still working on things, he'll do 60-70% the same, and then another 34% changing. I don't really know what it's going to be this time because it's been 6 years since they toured. The last night he did 5 or 6 songs from Letter to You, which was his last studio album with the band, and then they did 2 songs from his Soul cover band, the Soul album, and then the rest of them were just from his career. All the different, he did a wide range of songs, everything. He did 1 song, actually from his first album all the way through. Like I said, they did these past 2 songs. So that was really cool. It looks like a really nice. He isn't this, at least last night, according to the reports, he didn't talk a lot. They came in, uh, you know, good evening Tampa, went into songs,
They know
and
their audience.
and then they didn't stop till the band went off stage, and he told the story of Last Man Standing. The album Letter to You was based on he got a phone call that George, I can't think of George's last name, but he was a friend of his, and they were in a band together in high school called the Castiles. And when George died, Bruce realized he was the last remaining member of that band still alive. And he said, what other business do you keep working with your high school buddies, right? Like the people in the E Street Band he's known since he was 19, 20. And so he wrote this song, I'm the Last Man Standing. And so at the show last night, it was just him and a guitar, and he told that story, and then he sang the song, and they said it was pretty powerful. So I'm hoping he does that again. So the reality is the set list, especially when he gets to Europe, will go really crazy. He'll change a lot of things, but it sounds like at least start, he knows the story he wants to tell, and he's doing it. So this will get me to 20 shows. After these 4, I will hit 20 for the time, which is still very, very low among massive fans, but I'm pretty happy about it.
No, that's
It's nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
For one artist, no.
Yeah.
Definitely not.
Absolutely.
All right, Lilith, anything else, or should we close this out, let this man
I think
go?
we had a pretty cool talk. This is the 90s. This is basically our 90s podcast. So, we'll revisit and all that
Oh,
stuff.
yeah.
So guys, be sure to send in your thoughts. We'll read it anytime. Mail is always welcome.
Exactly.
It was so great to have you on, Jesse.
Oh, this was a lot of fun, and like I said, I got to have you both on as we celebrate this 1,000 episodes of Set Listing Bruce. I'd love to have you guys on and talk music. Thanks. That's a lot of Bruce talk, and we're excited about it. So, and your listeners, I am always looking for guests. You do not have to be a Bruce Springsteen fanatic. If you are passionate about any musician, I want you on the show. I do B-side episodes. So setlistingbruce@gmail.com. I am at Jesse Jackson DFW, at setlistingbruce on Twitter. Reach out if you want to talk about Bob Dylan, you want to talk about the Kool and the Gang, you want to talk Sam Cooke, you want to talk Ray Charles, you want to talk Foo Fighters. Call me. Let's reach out and let's make it happen.
Oh, and plug it. I mean, I know we were talking music generally tonight, but at all your other podcasts, promote your other podcasts, because yes, this man.
The Doctor Who podcast is so cute.
Yes, Next Stop Everywhere is the Doctor Who podcast that Charles Skaggs and I do. We talk classic Who and we talk new Who when we're getting it. As I said, my brand new podcast is Perfectly Good Podcast. John Hyatt from A to Z. If you don't know who John Hyatt is, he is a very talented singer-songwriter. He wrote Are You Ready for This Thing Called Love by Bonnie Raitt. He wrote Have a Little Faith in Me that tons of people have covered. And we are going through his catalog one song at a time in alphabetical order. So that's been fun. Last Best Hope for Conversation is a new podcast I'm doing, which we are doing Babylon 5 with Lou and Karen. Lou and Karen have never seen Babylon 5, and I've seen every Babylon 5. So we're doing in order with I'm the veteran and they're the newbies, trying not to spoil things with them. And so that's been a lot of fun, because one of my first podcasts was the Scapecast, where I had never watched Farscape, and Lou and Karen had watched Farscape. So
is this your payback?
yeah, they were the veterans and I would watch that. So this has been a lot of fun for us, kind of, things going full circle. So those are it. And then I'm wearing my How Many sweatshirts. That's just me and my buddies playing just being silly. We pick pop culture topics and just debate them. Like we'll say, okay, here are 40 Prince songs. How many of them would you actually say are significant, which are good? And so we'll say, oh well, there's going to be 30, or there's going to be 22, or there, and then we go through and we debate, and we're like, no, 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 I don't think that one. Oh yeah, how can you be? It was a top 10 hit. And so that's what we do. We do that that's a lot of fun, and that's called How Many.
And then the bad news we got, the Titan series is on its last season.
Yes, yeah, Charles and Nick have taken over just because I've just only had so much time. But yeah, it's Titans.
But I know
is
you're an old
yeah,
school
come in.
fan.
Yeah, I am. I am. I and it's sad too, because I think there was a lot of good in that. I'm curious to see if Gotham Knights is going to be any good. I've seen the advertising. I just don't know. Did you have you guys now totally off? Did you see? Is it Lockwood and Company? Yeah, Lockwood and Company on Netflix. Have you guys checked that out yet?
No.
Mm-mm.
I think it's pretty good. The premise is that about 50 years ago in London, uh, ghosts became real and everyone's haunted. And if a ghost touch you, you die. So they found out that young people have a connection that can see or hear ghosts. So they have actually created, you know, ghost fighters, right? Agencies that
Not
come out and
busters.
not
It's
right.
different.
And so, and this Lockwood and Company is these three. It's a two guy and a girl, um, you know, agency that goes out and fixes and care to others that are these massively funded. It's 8 episodes. It's really well done. I liked it a lot, and I think it's worth your time. I recommend it
I'll
highly.
put it on the list. Like I said, they took off interrogation. So what else am I gonna binge?
Yeah. Yeah.
Damn you, Paramount.
Yeah, I really was surprised how well it was done. I knew no one in the cast, but it ended up being, I think, really good. So
So it's a
I
British show?
recommend it. Yeah, it's a British show, and I liked it. I liked it a lot.
Oh, I don't think I've ever asked you this question. What are your thoughts on Arrow? Because every penultimate episode, except for the last season, obviously was named after a song.
Yes, they always did a Bruce Springsteen song title as their next to last episode. I have reached out so often and just have never been able to. I wanted someone from the Arrow's writing room just to join me
Oh, it
on
was
the
Mark
podcast.
Guggenheim's
to talk
idea.
about- Huh?
Actually, it was Mark
Yeah.
Guggenheim's idea. He is a huge fan. Actually,
I know, boy, I would love to have him on the podcast.
He's free.
You know,
He's not doing nothing. He's not even writing comic books. So
yeah.
he's not.
Well, Mark, if you're listening, join me. I need a guest for
And
my
you guys
1000th
can break down
episode.
those episodes, like which ones were his favorites. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that would be cool. Yeah, I always think that was a nice touch that they did do that. They used this Springsteen title. Was always
And the
kind of
first
fun.
season penultimate episode is actually my favorite, and that is actually my favorite Bruce Springsteen song.
Yeah.
So it was like perfect for me.
Yeah, that's great. That's good. Cool.
All right, kids. So yeah, send us your thoughts again. We will do music again. We'll have to get Jesse on again. Oh, I'd love to get him and Noel on at the same time. Yeah. So yeah, again, keep sending in thoughts. I mean, we're always looking for topics. So email saltyandpetty69@gmail.com. Or call the voicemail 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. And you can find Salty and Petty on Facebook, on Twitter, Capes and Lunatics Sidekicks on Instagram. The YouTube channel, this will go up on the YouTube channel just like everything. So smash that subscribe button. Please subscribe. The Patreon, again, help us support all the
Become
many
a part of the Patreon elite. Let us bully you around and make fun of you.
to support the many shows we do. You know, I think yes, we've all been negatively influenced by Rob Southgate. None of us can just sit and do one podcast. We have to do many podcasts.
Yes. Yeah. So I have to tell the story. I know you've heard it, Phil, but I bet you haven't, Lilith. Is I was doing the Doctor Who podcast, and I was talking to Rob, and I said, I think I want to do a Bruce Springsteen podcast. And he says, okay, what is it going to be? I said, well, I'm going to find fans of Bruce Springsteen, and I'm going to talk to them. How are you going to find them? Through social media. He says, okay, if you're passionate about it, let's do it. And so he hung up the phone and he looked at Martha and says, Jesse's going to do a Springsteen podcast. I think we'll get a season out of it, which is 12 episodes to him. So I'm now at year 6, about hitting 1,000. So Rob always loves to pick at me about that. Then he says, yeah, I was like, little did I know.
You can take your marked words and shove it, Rob.
Wow.
Go back and look at my history.
Yeah.
That's all right.
That's a great one. I love it.
Yeah.
All right, Lilith, do you want to do your plug? Well, are you on any?
I have a
TikTok?
singular plug. You can only find me on one place on social media currently, and that is, of course, on TikTok, making all the comments, some of the content, but you gotta hit that follow button because my content is for, say it with me, followers and friends only.
Yay.
At Lil Fire 69. I'll remember the collective.
Either do the 6 or do the 9.
All right. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining us, listening. Jesse, again, thank you. It's always a great time talking to you.
I loved it. Thank you, guys.
Again, I don't care what we talk about. I just like talking to Jesse.
Exactly. Yes, it's the same thing. Yes, absolutely.
Us nerds got to stick together.
Now we'll have to find a topic, get you and Charles on at the same time. Maybe get Nick. We need a group. We need a big group chat again. It's been a while.
That would be fun. Yeah. Remember when we did a while back? God, this has been a long time, but we did the round table of our blind spots.
Yes.
Yeah,
That was
I'd
a
love to
lot of
revisit
fun.
that.
That was
Yeah.
a lot of fun where we talked about, because it was like, you're kidding. You've never